This is the Political Spotlight.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome. We wanted to bring you some important political news from both the city of Muncie and the state of Indiana, because both of this happened over the weekend while we were our weekend, which is Thursday night's the end of the show. So then Friday and Saturday is our weekend, and we're starting off with some absolutely sad news. Waking up Friday morning, 9:12 a.m., the city of Muncie posted the following. The city of Muncie is deeply saddened to share the unexpected passing of city controller Craig Wright. Craig served the city of Muncie as a controller since 2020, bringing not only his knowledge and dedication to the role, but also a lighthearted spirit and warmth that became part of the everyday fabric of City Hall. For those who worked alongside Craig, this loss is deeply personal. His daily presence, his humor, and the familiar moments shared with coworkers will be profoundly missed. His absence will be felt throughout City Hall and across City of Muncie for a long time to come. In the days and weeks ahead, we ask our community to keep Craig's family and friends, along with his City Hall family, in your thoughts and prayers as they grieve this sudden and heartbreaking loss. We are grateful for Craig's years of service to our city, his friendship, and even more for the person he was to those who he had the privilege of knowing and working beside him. Rest in peace, Craig. You will be deeply missed. And then they posted a picture of him in the last Iron Man that he was a part of. And I was shocked by this, honestly. I just seen him Thursday. He had been at the Thursday. Well, obviously he was at the Board of Works meeting on Monday. He was at the Redevelopment Commission meeting on Thursday, and then he was at the special meeting on Thursday afternoon, and everything seemed well. And that's horrible. So obviously a lot of different thoughts and comments came in. I posted to the city communications page and said, this is a horribly sad news. Craig and I obviously did not see eye to eye on a number of things, but he was always polite in person. We had one dust up. Craig and I had one dust up. And I got to be honest, for what I do and for who he was and for what was going on, only having one dust up is it's a pretty, amazing, honestly. He always had a smile. Even when we might have been in heated debate, he still remained kind. I'm sad to hear this. My thoughts are with his family, friends, and coworkers, and my prayers are with all touched by this. And so that's what I had put on the city's page. And then, just from my point of view, I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about Muncie City Controller Craig Wright, who passed away unexpectedly on Thursday. Now, I'm assuming that they will have done an autopsy and all of this. I'm not saying anything out of school, and I wouldn't. I think that this is pretty much common knowledge from what I've heard from sources, that it seems like that they're thinking that he had a PE, which is a pulmonary embolism. And so that's a sad situation, and no, so I'm aware that he did not take the jab. And I got to say this, you said that I got to push back on a comment that you made. Stumblefoot said before the jab, there was no sudden death. That's not true. Cardiac arrest and embolisms and things like that, those have always happened. I definitely get what your point is, no pun intended, that those type of things seem to have increased dramatically since. But I would also say that, maybe people's health has not improved. It's only gotten worse since all of that. But yes, you are correct in saying that. But I don't believe in this instance that's the situation. From everything that I've heard, he did not do that. So this is just seems to be a very, very sad situation. Whatever the situation is, it's very, very horrible. Craig and I did not always see eye to eye. I'm sure that doesn't surprise anybody who's followed the political spotlight for any length of time. I've had questions about the way the city of Muncie has handled its finances. I've had questions about the controller's office and about decisions made during Craig's time in that position. I have been critical when I've believed criticism was warranted, and Craig was definitely aware of that. But there's something else that deserves to be said, and I think that this is very important. Whenever Craig and I actually dealt with one another, he was polite to me. He was professional with me. And we only had, like I said, the one really big dust up. And I'm sure those that have been watching for a long time will remember that it was actually in a, I don't know if it was a Board of Works meeting or a Muncie Redevelopment Commission meeting, but even after that, when we like kind of yelled at each other back and forth, that only lasted for that interaction. And the next week we would be back and laughing and joking. And, I've been very critical of him, very critical of his office, but personally, I don't have anything to say negatively about the guy as a human being, It is what it is. He's professional, as I stated. We could disagree about government policy, the finances, or whatever the issue happened to be, but personal interactions with Craig were always civil. And politics are important. Politics matter, but I think being a human matters more. Politics and government can become extremely contentious, especially at the local level where everybody knows everybody. People cross paths regularly. Disagreements can come very personal very quickly, but disagreements, they don't have to erase, they shouldn't erase somebody's humanity. And I try not to do that. I try to be a decent and understand that, we can take ourselves out of the political realm for a bit. And Craig did that. I feel like he did that. Craig was obviously more than the city controller. He was somebody's family, son, brother. I don't know anything about his family. I believe he was married, from what I'm hearing. Whatever the situation, he was definitely someone's loved one. He was someone's friend. He was a coworker, and I imagine those people are hurting, the people that he was close to every day. Listen, I didn't deal with him every day, and this set me back. I mean, there were multiple times on Friday where I would be thinking about him because that's just what happens. I mean, I didn't deal with him every day, but I dealt with him frequently. You know what I mean? So I'm sure that the people who dealt with him inside City Hall every day, worked beside him, laughed with him, argued with him, depended on him, good, right, wrong, bad, or indifferent, whatever. They become accustomed to having him there. And now suddenly he's not. And that's going to be a tremendous shock. So whatever political disagreements extended, whatever disagreements Craig and I may have had, I grieve for his family, for his friends, and I grieve for the people of City Hall and the people of City of Muncie who lost a colleague and a friend without warning. There is, of course, an ongoing city council investigation involving the financial operations. I mean, just what a horrible time. Never a good time for something like this to happen. But, with that, and I've had a lot of people reach out to me. And honestly, my answer to that is I don't even care about the investigation at this moment. Friday, Saturday, tonight is not the time to care about that. Monday will come. They'll still be grieving and all of that. and we will deal with this. You know what I mean? That will, I've had people say, well, do you think that this means it's just over? And no, I don't. I hope it's not. It shouldn't mean that, because they weren't specifically investigating Craig as a person. They were investigating the office and the goings on. And, as is true for being a police officer, anything you are, military, a factory worker, whatever, the day that you retire, the day that you walk out of there, the day that you die, they replace you, you go on, the world keeps turning. And, it's like you were never there, in a way. And that's very harsh and crazy to think about, but it's true. So the investigation should absolutely go on, and there will come a time to talk about this. That is a matter of public business, and at some point, sooner rather than later, the city and city council are going to have to determine how that looks moving forward. I don't believe, like I stated, that this is the moment to litigate that investigation or turn Craig's death into another political argument, and I certainly will not be doing that. There will be a time to deal with government questions, and we will do that when that time comes. I just simply want to say tonight, on Sunday, August 23rd, 2026, I just simply want to acknowledge him as a man. Craig and I, like I said, didn't agree. I sometimes challenged his work. I imagine there were probably occasions when he wasn't particularly thrilled with me, but he was polite when we dealt with one another. Life is short, sometimes brutally, unexpectedly short. My thoughts are with Craig Wright's family, his friends, his coworkers, the city of Muncie, and everybody who cared about Craig. And so I hope that they are comforted in this time of loss. And so, as we do with everything, I want to give a moment to Craig and do all of that. And I will say, one thing I've always known about Craig is he is a believer. He was a believer. He was Christian, and so that should give comfort in this time as well. So we want to take a moment of silence for Craig Wright, and we'll do that now. I also want to say, positions like this in local government, it doesn't work like the president or the governor or, a mayor or something like that. Being the deputy controller does not mean that Matt Wegley will automatically elevate. It's like when the news came in that Craig had passed, that did not immediately make Matt Wegley the controller. He's still the deputy controller. He's the deputy controller tonight. He'll be the deputy controller tomorrow. I would be absolutely shocked if Dan did not put Matt in that place. And that'll come with all kinds of different goods and bads and, a lot of different things. So we'll deal with whatever comes there. And it would be funny if he did not. It would be funny. And I'll tell you, so that's one of the weird things is when they put Matt Wegley in that position, they specifically made it a hireable position, not an appointed position, so that Matt couldn't lose his job unless there was cause, yada, 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 however, whatever that is. In city government, they made the deputy position not appointable, and so I could see a situation where he remains there. Maybe Amber will get a promotion. I don't know if Amber has enough toes to do the work. Dustin Clark, holy shit! Talk about a position Dustin Clark should not get. I think it'll go to Matt Wegley. I think it'll be Matt Wegley. So we'll have to wait and see. And I'm sure Dan won't say anything. I will tell you something. Won't they need someone within the next week or two? No, not really, because Matt Wegley can do that job as the deputy controller. Matt Wegley will be able to do everything that needs to be done. And and as deputy controller, so he'll be able to do everything, and they'll have a little bit of cushion room where they can deal. I will tell you that I am absolutely appalled. I'm absolutely appalled by the Muncie Star Press. This death occurred on Friday. The death occurred on Thursday evening. Muncie City Hall put it out at 9:12 Friday morning. And I thought by 1 or 2, there would be an online digital write-up on the Star Press about Craig. And there wasn't. It didn't come Friday. I woke up Saturday. It wasn't there Saturday. It's not there today. I'm shocked. Let's look here. Yeah. I mean, nothing. Absolutely crazy to me that they have not covered this in the Muncie newspaper. Let me go up here to local. Hell, I guess there is not a local anymore. It is what it is. Yeah, man, that is absolutely crazy to me. Shame on the Star Press. The only other thing that I wanted to say, and this is now moving out of Muncie, this is more at the state level. This is a major, big thing in my mind. It's absolutely insane. So after Governor Braun was elected and became the governor of Indiana, he did what he does. He did what all governors do when they're elected, and he starts appointing his people. And 12 months into his first term, so almost a full year, he appointed Indiana State Senator Andy Zay, Republican from Huntington, District 17 state senator, to chair the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission. And everybody was like, oh, when that happened. It was kind of a big shock, okay? Zay had been elected before, and he was reelected to a 4-year term in the Indiana State Senate back on November 8th of 2022. And then Braun was elected on November 5th of 2024. Braun was sworn in on January 13th of 2025. And then December 12th of 2025, Braun announced Zay's appointment to the IURC. And not only was he appointed as a commissioner to the IURC, but he was then also named as the chairman. And that was a pretty big deal. There are 3, it's like the county commissioners. There are 3 commissioners on there. It's a body of 3. And so he was named as the chairman. Zay left the state Senate for this, an elected role that he had served in. He left that role on January 8th of 2026, and Zay began his first day serving as the chairman of the IURC on January 12th of this year, 2026. Well, Zay had came in to the middle of a heated conversation about rate increases, the possibility of a rate increase that AES Indiana had asked for back in June of 2025. And so they were going to be talking about this. And I think that Braun thought that Zay was going to go in and just do what Braun wanted. On June 17th, roughly 6 months after he started serving, In a 3-1 vote, the IURC, chaired by Zay, approved a really crazy, roughly $71 million in additional annual revenue for AES Indiana. This process had been underway, as I stated, since June 3rd, 2025. And Braun came out the next day publicly criticizing the rate increase, and he was pissed and almost instantly started, getting a hold of Zay and bad-mouthing this and pushing. And only just a couple of days after that, so June 17th is when the announcement was made. And on June 22nd, Braun removed Zay as the IURC chairman. He didn't remove him from the IURC. He just removed him as chairman, and he put another person in charge as chair. Then Braun fired Zay officially on August 3rd. So just a couple of months, a month and a half, Braun finally said, all right, enough of this. And he fired Zay from the commission. And then that became the issue of some serious conversation. Whether the governor could make such a move was obviously questioned. But Indiana law provides that an IURC commissioner can be removed for cause. Okay. 7 days later, Zay filed a lawsuit and the reason I'm giving you these dates, the dates matter. Okay. It all starts happening really quickly. So Braun announces Zay's appointment on December 12th, 25. Zay starts working a month later on January 12th, 26. June 17th, 26, the vote comes down. June 22nd, 26, Braun removes him as the chairman. August 3rd, he's fired. August 10th, Zay files a lawsuit against the state of Indiana, against Braun et al., so other people were involved, challenging whether Braun lawfully removed him. Zay alleged that his removal was retaliation tied to the AES rate case, and that's what it looked like. And political pressure was on the commission. Braun's attorneys went to court, and they argued that Braun absolutely had the right to fire him. He had cause, and they cited alleged violations of financial disclosure rules, employee gifts and payments, and public meeting agenda issues. Zay denied all of those allegations. Okay, so he's fired on the 3rd of August. 7 days later, on the 10th, Zay files a lawsuit on the 10th. Now, this is what's really big. After just a couple of days, like a week, the media filed paperwork with the court stating, we want to have cameras in the courtroom. And we've talked about that a lot. Courts don't do that. But the court ruled that media could bring cameras into the courtroom for all the hearings, the trial, and the whole ordeal. The judge said, yes, you can bring cameras in. So we were going to get to hear everything. We were going to get to hear the whole big nasty shakedown, everything that was going in and out. We were going to get to hear from Zay. He's kind of a nut. We were going to get to hear from Braun. He's a nut. We're going to hear all of this. Okay. That is a really, really big deal. I know that there are people that are talking about it, but I don't feel like enough people are talking about the fact that the judge made that ruling, because that meant we were going to basically see everything. Just 2 days later, on Saturday, disregard it all, ladies and gentlemen, because the state announced that a settlement had been reached on the weekend. Yeah, how crazy is that? It wasn't on Friday. It wasn't on Monday. It was on Saturday. This press release came out. Okay. And the press release says, Governor Mike Braun today announced that the state of Indiana has reached a mutually agreeable settlement in the lawsuit originally filed by Andy Zay in Marion Superior Court 1, pending under cause number 49 DO1 2608 CE 4450. I am pleased that we have been able to reach a resolution, Braun is quoted as saying. This agreement allows for all involved to move forward constructively in the best interest of Hoosiers, said Governor Braun. I want to recognize Andy for his service to the state. Public service is demanding work, and I appreciate his contributions over the course of a decade on behalf of Hoosiers. Mr. Zay said...
He said that about a dude he fired?
Yeah, right? Yeah.
That's not weird.
Yeah, right? Mr. Zay says, the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission performs important work on behalf of all Hoosiers. Balancing the affordability of services needed by all citizens, as demonstrated recently by the historic flooding, against the costs for maintaining and supplying those services. I am proud to have been involved in addressing these issues during my time on the Utilities Committee in the Indiana Senate and later as chair and commissioner of the IURC. I am disappointed that I will no longer be directly involved in this important work, but I believe resolution with the state is in everyone's best interest at this time. I appreciate Governor Braun's willingness to reach satisfactory terms so that we can all move forward in a positive direction. Now, what I find odd about this is that it doesn't mention, what we're looking at. You know what I mean? And so it's just interesting to me that, Braun creates this mess that taxpayers have to clean up. What kind of a mess? Oh, a $625,000 mess. $625,000. Okay? Absolutely crazy. So let me just walk you through this real quick. We're almost done. This is the last one, then we're ending. December 12th, 2025, Indiana Governor Mike Braun appoints Andy Zay as the chair of the IURC. Zay left the state Senate on January 8th, began serving on January 12th, 2026. Only 161 days later, Braun develops an issue with Zay's service as the chairman and removed him from that position on June 22nd, 2026. Zay continued to serve on the IURC as commissioner for only 42 more days until Braun fired him from the commission altogether on August 3rd. Zay filed suit against the state of Indiana, Braun, and others on August 10th. Just 12 days later, then the state announced that it had settled for a whopping $625,000 in taxpayer dollars. All that nonsense played out in 253 days. From Braun's announcing Zay as the handpicked IURC chairman to the state announcing the $625,000 settlement, 253 days. That works out to $2,470.36 for every day of this political and administrative bullshit. Not too bad unless you're a taxpayer. Now, just what is our $625,000 going for? Well, the reported agreement breaks it down as follows. $185,000 in wages for Zay, not bad. $300,000 to resolve his other claims, not bad. And then $140,000 for attorney's fees and costs. Not bad for 12 days worth of work. You know what I mean? Just another example of how not to run state government. Just an absolute shit show. According to the reported settlement terms, as I read you from the actual press release that we get from Braun's press secretary, okay, we're linked into the email. We get them daily. According to the reported settlement terms, Zay will not return to the IURC. Braun's replacement remains in place, and neither Braun nor Zay admits any wrongdoing because why would they? But Indiana pays $625,000. Think about that timeline for a moment. Braun fires him. Zay sues 7 days later. Braun's side publicly argues it had legitimate cause to fire him, but then less than 3 weeks after the firing and only 12 days after the suit's filed, the state of Indiana agrees to a $625,000 settlement. Now, keep in mind all those dates I've told you. 12 days from this lawsuit, but here's what really matters. Only 2 days from the point when the judge says, yes, the media can know what's going on, and more importantly, the public will know too. 2 days after a judge made that ruling, this agreement happens. Here's what really gets me. Braun's own August 22nd press release announcing the mutually agreeable settlement didn't even mention the $625,000 price tag to Hoosiers. Okay? Just double check. Look, right here it is. Tell me if you see anywhere there where that mentions the price tag. Can you see it? Can you see it anywhere? Is price tag mentioned anywhere in there? I don't see it. I don't see it anywhere in there. Honestly, doesn't Braun always brag about running Indiana? Yeah, right. Yeah, that's right. That's right. And he cares about being fiscally responsible. What a duel. Okay. Absolutely insane. Instead, Braun says this agreement allows all involved to move forward constructively in the best interest of Hoosiers. Really? The political spotlight, we can think of 625,000 reasons that statement, this agreement allows those to move forward constructively in the best interest of Hoosiers, is complete bullshit. What about the Hoosiers paying that figure? Braun goes from firing the guy to suddenly saying, I want to recognize Andy for his service to the state. I appreciate his contributions over the decade on behalf of Hoosiers. Do what? Only days ago, your administration was explaining to the court why this man's alleged conduct gave you cause to fire his ass. Now you're thanking him for his decade of service while the state cuts a $25,000 settlement check? You want the citizens to give him a reach around while we're at it? Dear Lord. Yes, the settlement does not prove that Braun violated the law. Doesn't say Andy did anything wrong. Doesn't say Braun did anything wrong. Neither side admits any wrongdoing. Okay, of course not. That's not the point. The accountability question is simple. If Braun had such a strong, lawful, well-supported case for firing Zay for cause, why did the state of Indiana move so quickly to pay the $265,000 to settle the lawsuit? Why wasn't that number prominently disclosed in Braun's public announcement? Braun made the decision. Braun's administration defended it. The decision led to litigation, and now the state of Indiana, the taxpayers, are footing the bill to make the dispute go away. That's not Braun's personal money. It's our money. You want to run Indiana's government, then own your decisions. You don't get to make the mess and quietly hand Hoosiers the bill. $265,000. Or well, I guess they do. 19 days after the firing, 12 days after the lawsuit. What an absolute shit show. But all those figures don't matter. The only dates and figures, in my opinion, that matters are two. The number 2. 1, 2. 2 days. August 20th, Thursday, 2026, the judge says cameras come in. Friday, Saturday, the settlement occurs on a freaking weekend. That's because they did not want to talk in front of the cameras, and Braun did not want to talk in front of the cameras. And we should all be pissed about that. So we'll be looking into this. We'll be talking about this more. I just want to talk about that because it happened on a Saturday, which is freaking wild. And then I wanted to talk about Craig. So you guys take care of yourselves. Good night. God bless. And peace.